careful about each little piece of this because they may only grab the song, this part right here. They may only grab that part. So I would.
That's twerking?
Yeah, it's a twerking part.
They're not really twerking.
No,
they're talking about their butts.
Yeah.
So, Mike Todd. I honestly don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Like I keep seeing people talk about him, but
We've been talking about him.
I never knew you were talking about.
We talk about him on the calls. We talk about it on the show.
All that goes over my head.
Okay.
I don't know anything about him.
Cool.
But he just did an Easter event that's getting a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Essentially, they did kind of a play. It was a fictional bass play, kind of like a Narnia style play.
Yeah.
Where things represented things, but it's basically the story of Jesus coming to rescue people. But they spent a lot of time in like a fictional version of hell.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like that. I mean, talking about fire and all kinds of stuff going on in the background. They redoing Beyonce songs.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of backlash online. So I showed it to everybody before we started.
Kind of looked like the Oscar performance.
I think that's what people were saying too.
Yeah.
The production is dope, though.
So what?
Production is dope.
What did y'all? What was y'all's reaction to it when you first saw it?
My reaction was, this is over the top. I mean, I'm thinking about what my church did on Easter Sunday. we had Jesus coming down the aisle getting stones thrown at him as somebody was carrying his cross, and then we put him up. It's a song called Calvary. And then we put him up, and he screams out, "It is finished!" And then he falls down, and then they bring out King Jesus, in a nice robe and everything. And then on the third day, he rose. That was what I'm used to. This shocked me.
Really?
This shocked
So
me. Yeah.
Is it hate, or you feel like it's something wrong?
It's I always look at things that we do based on how the world sees it, right? Like for Christianity to be so mixed up with, you got this belief here, you got that belief there. To me, it feels like the world is looking at us like, what are y'all doing? How y'all gonna get this right? Because to me,
why do we care about the world?
Well, because that's who they're trying to reach, obviously, right?
No, but what I'm saying is like, I mean, I think the thing is, only thing I had a problem with was the fire. Like it was very extreme. It was like, yo, we really trying to show hell. Like that's
you
my only
with
thing.
The girls twerking on stage.
They playing the road. I mean, it's not like I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you write stuff,
Sunday morning conversation, you don't want to have it with your
no,
kids,
but based off where they are, it makes sense, right? Like
based on where who is?
Like, isn't they supposed to be in hell? Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I guess it ain't gonna be like that though.
So it ain't gonna be like that.
Twerking everybody trying to go.
Oh man,
that's a good point. Like, which part of the play are people attracted to?
It was like an Oscar/Super Bowl halftime performance. Like it was crazy.
Which, in a way, is good because it looked amazing, right?
Yeah,
it looked amazing, but you could have done like.
So a couple questions. Is it the time and place? Sunday morning, Easter service. Was it just the wrong time and place, or is it okay to do that anytime, any place?
I think it was good for the simple fact that, first of all, we know Mike Todd is his whole ministry and church is out the box. Like they do a lot of different.
Yeah.
I mean, you just jumping on. But like a lot of stuff that they do is out the box. So I expect that. You see what I'm saying? I don't think there was anything wrong with that, especially for the different scenes and scenarios that they had and what they were trying to depict. It all makes sense.
I would say this. When you watch the whole thing through, I mean, it's pretty much everybody's Easter thing. It's the same story. It's just they have more money than you, and they spend a lot.
Definitely.
They spend a lot more time in hell, and I think in the Beyonce stuff. That's what's really
the remake.
Like,
how long was the production though?
I don't know because this is chopped up too, so I don't know how long it is straight through.
But let's be honest though, like why is it that when it comes to anything Christian based, it's always corny and it's like, all right, cool, that's church. But when we do stuff like this, it's like, oh, that's over the top. You ain't supposed to do it like that. You're not supposed. Right. Like, why we always got to be corny? Like everything Christian for the most part is.
I don't know if it has to be corny. It just has to be. It just has to.
This was excellent.
It's hard. It's hard to say because. It's almost like Christianity is, you have to bring it into today's time for people to understand it and get it. But at the same time, it's like, is that going to work on somebody who's a non-believer that just comes in on Sunday and
I would think.
I mean, it may. I don't know. I feel like because the Christian community is so sensitive, it's hard to find a medium. Like, it's like, okay, you don't want to do stuff that's, no offense to your church, but like, everybody do that every Easter, like
Easter.
stones and you know what I'm saying? That's an every Easter thing. But it's like, okay, then we do something excellent like the BET Awards or like the Grammys. It's like, dang, now we're doing too much. It's like, dang, what's the fine line? How do we find that middle ground without everybody being so sensitive or, you know what I'm saying, being mad at what he's doing?
I just think don't care. Honestly.
And he don't.
Like, just don't care because regardless of the fact, I always say this in anything that I plan on like attempting or doing, like, you can't care what everybody's gonna say. Like, they found a reason to kill Jesus and he was perfect.
Exactly.
So it's just like, it don't matter what you do, how you do it, they always gonna have problems.
So yeah, don't care. But do you take at all wisdom from elders, like that say, hey, I see what you're doing too much? Is there anybody that can say to you, I get it, I get your zeal, you're doing it wrong?
But elders are always gonna like be stuck in a type of mentality of this is how we did it.
I don't want to say
and
that
this
either
is the
because
word, the way it works.
My pastor, he's older, but he's understanding like to the ways of trying to break it down to each generation is going to be different. They're going to receive things different. Yeah. Like, it's, no disrespect, it's like West End's mom's funeral.
Okay,
that was definitely, people would say that was
too much. Yeah, because that was on World Star.
World Star. Yeah. So for him, it wasn't, because we all, for those who know his mom, right, we understand, like, celebrating it, and then it's celebrating someone's life.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this situation, again, they have the funds to do a production on it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, so they have the funds to do a certain type of production on a bigger level of scheme, just to broaden, I mean, again, I didn't watch the whole thing. However, if you can do it and it helps, it helps.
I don't think it's the production value. I think everybody is in awe. Well, I hope so. Everybody's in awe of the production value. I guess it's the techniques. So, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
This was basically our church, right?
Yeah.
So we're in a unique position because we used to do stuff like this all the time.
Yeah.
And stuff that we did went viral and people got mad. So I get what they're doing. You know what actually bothered me? It wasn't the play at all. It was his explanation of it.
Oh, okay.
His explanation before it started was like, it makes me worried because I remember what our church was trying to do is like reach the lost.
Yeah.
Even if people don't get it, even if people don't understand, we're only focused on bringing people in here so they can meet Jesus.
Yeah.
And I love that mission. But there is a fine line between trying to reach people and trying to be famous.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get caught in the middle of trying to impress the world versus trying to reach the world. How do you know the difference?
Well, I think Mike Todd's brand is already solidified. He went through the process of like building a brand that has established him, and his goal is to reach souls. Now you can kind of push the line a little bit in different areas because, let's be honest, he got hundreds of thousands, well, not hundreds of thousands, but he got thousands of people that's either on social media tuned in that love him, and he got thousands of people in his congregation. So my goal, or I don't think his goal is like, yo, I'm trying to show everybody that my purpose is now like trying to reach souls. Like, we know that. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, we know Mike Todd, like, that's what he do. He's a pastor, he's trying to reach souls. Clearly it's working, or his methods that he has used has worked. Yeah. Now it's just like, all right, cool, let me I don't even want to call it remixing the gospel, but let me deliver it in a different type of way. Let me go ahead and push the excellence factor. Like, yo, you can have an Oscar, a BET VMAs awards style production instead of the regular, like, all right, everybody dress up in sheets.
Which is what he do every week. Yeah. Every like, I mean, I know you don't know him like that, but like every week it's an illustration. This man brought a whole bed on stage.
Facts.
He brought, you know what I'm saying? Like, he bring crazy stuff just to show people. Yeah, like crazy stuff. So I feel like this is just an extension of what he do every week. I don't know. I didn't really see a problem.
I mean, it does remind me of that Easter show that Tyler Perry did. Y'all remember that was on Fox like a couple years ago? Mm-hmm. And he had something when he remade songs. I remember he remade Katy Perry's song, Unconditional. I forgot I think that's the name of the song. But it was kind of like this almost. But it was on Easter, like Easter weekend or Easter Sunday. And he was narrating it, and he was talking about Jesus and everything in it. So I'm like,
I don't think that's going to help any of the people who have a part of this.
I was about to say that's
no, but I get the.
You said Billy Graham did that, then maybe.
But my thing is, right? If Kanye West would have did something like this, will we have a problem with it?
I mean, he did. Like,
no, I'm saying, like,
he did.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but they would still say the church would say something about it.
The church, yeah.
They always gonna say something.
So okay, I get it. So it seems like it's everybody against Ryan and maybe you.
I'm coming from the factor that this is something you got to explain to kids. Like to me, that's what I wouldn't expect to come up on Easter Sunday and see that, right?
Yeah.
With my kids.
I get it.
Good Friday, if you like promote this and say that this is something that we're gonna do,
well, they
and
did.
It's an adult like only type situation, then that's different.
So you're saying that the same performance just on an off night, like Destinations?
I need to see the performance first, the whole thing, before I can determine what I think about like its appropriateness and stuff.
I don't know. I still just watching. I don't know Mike Todd. I admitted that. I don't know anything about this man. I'm just worried that sometimes, just because I've seen this, sometimes the point of why you're doing this, because I've heard his name pop up before for other controversial stuff. I don't want him to get addicted to controversy and
to sell stuff,
getting attention,
to get attention,
because that could be a trap. And I'm talking about well-meaning, God-fearing people did put on productions just like this, and then it just becomes addictive.
Yeah.
And you start to make compromises, and then it's always like, yo, only God can judge me. I'm gonna do what I do. Y'all just don't get it. And when you have that attitude, sometimes you can ignore wisdom from people who actually have a point. And I just don't want people to miss the point. Like, we're obviously a younger generation. We see things different. We think different things can work. But there's got to be at least one person that can say, yo, I get you. I understand you. I'm behind you. Don't do it like that. Maybe do this. The other thing I'm thinking, this is a clip generation. The whole point of this is good to me. When Jesus comes and destroys all of this, kicks all these people out of hell and blah, 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 gets the keys, it's like, yes. But people like clips. So I never saw that clip.
I never saw that clip.
They only showing the bad
stuff.
stuff.
The twerking stuff. That's
so when we did Destinations, and we did the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But in every piece, we said, make sure this has some sort of point to it. Because the dude rapping about money and stuff.
Shout out to Paris. That was Paris Chris.
Paris Chris had the boots on?
Paris Chris is the one rapping.
Oh, for real?
He was the one with the red boots?
I don't know if
I thought he came
boots.
after him.
He probably came after him.
Okay,
yeah.
So I didn't hear what he said, but in Destinations, what we would say is, same exact production, we would just say, make sure in your piece there's a point too.
Yeah.
Not just the end of the thing.
Yeah.
Make sure each piece is building towards a point.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would say different. That's the only thing I would say different.
Well, I think for us though, using us as an example, was even if we had a journey, even if your piece didn't make sense or didn't have a point, it led to the ending. The final, like our final set was about Jesus and the reason why you end up coming here.
Right, but even in like every time we challenge somebody in their piece, in their spoken word piece, even if it's the wildest thing, like
Don't You Agree?
Don't You Agree, or the joint I did with Noble, even in it, the lyrics are pointing you to this is wrong. This is something wrong with what I'm saying. I'm not endorsing this, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would be like cautious of, because if somebody just grabs this piece, they won't see the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the only part. That's the bad part about this whole situation is because I saw clips first before I saw the whole thing. So if you don't see the whole thing, you'd be like, oh, they wilding, you know what I mean? But if you see the whole thing, you like, oh, that makes sense about what's going on in this whole story. You know what I'm saying?
But do you base your creativity off of what people may or may not perceive it as? Like, as far as like the clip portions? Because we know like the generation is going to only look at the 15 seconds of whatever. But I'm not like the bigger picture of what I'm showing. Like, do you base your creativity or do you base pushing the limits of your creativity as it pertains to church based off of just what a clip may be perceived at? Because people always gonna pull clips for the negative side. Like I've had situations where I've said stuff about artists, right? And like right before I've said something about them, like just critiquing their art or the music.
No offense.
No
offense, but yo, dude is trash. And then they just take dude as trash.
And then it's just like, you see what I'm saying? It's just like, yo, I literally, right before I gave the critique, I'm like, yo, I praised them. I'm like, yo, great artist, yada, 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 but, you know what I'm saying? And the but portion got ran with. And I'm just like, yo, did you look at the part before and after? Like, but I can't base my approach or my, my critique off of maybe they might, you know what I'm saying?
I would say the answer is yes, because I'm not talking about the critiques of Christians. I'm talking about, he said his target market for this was people that in the world.
Okay.
Even for them, be careful about each little piece of this because they may only grab the song, this part right here. They may only grab that part. So I would.
That's twerking?
Yeah, it's a twerking part.
They're not really twerking.
No, that's
talking about their butts.
yeah.
So I would even say, and they may
this
have.
is hell right here.
This is not the completely unedited because Transformation Church actually started pulling it.
Oh, really?
The video that y'all posted in the chat, they blocked it.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I think they starting to. I don't know if they regret it or they're just like. I don't know.
I mean, he posted out. He posted the intro to it on his page about why we did this. I know people gonna have a problem with it, but this was the purpose. To go to the line. Don't go past the line, but go closer to the line as possible.
And that's the same language we used to use as well. So it all sounds very familiar. But I just know the end of the story of what we used to do.
Yeah.
And it's just caution. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying I've seen this whole story play out. A vibrant church doing awesome art, people seeing it. It's you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But then corruption is on the back end of that.
Yeah.
So just be careful not to get swayed because it could be addictive to get this much attention constantly by the world, like having these debates, and then you start seeking it.
Do you think he's doing it for the attention?
I don't know him.
Hell no.
I don't know him.
Oh yeah, you just jumped on it. Y'all think he's doing it for the attention?
I think you can't say that because, like I said, from jump, he's been doing this. Even if you go back to the spit joint, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
Like he been doing stuff like this.
I saw that, but that was wild too, though.
No, it was. It was.
That
It was a crazy illustration. You have to do all that, but at the same time, it's like his end point. Going back to the end point is good. He just be having an extreme way of building it up.
And I think it does what it's supposed to do. It grabs the attention of literally, this is holding the attention of the world right now on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think the
point is to get people to go back and watch it. But the thing is, are they going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
I see what you're saying.
We did the exact same thing, but the only thing is make the clips make sense too.
Yeah.
You can do the exact same thing, but make sure a piece of it did. Like when she was rapping or singing, right?
Yeah.
The lyrics were pretty clear to me that what she was saying wasn't right.
Yeah.
The guy who rapped afterwards, I make money, too much money, whatever. There was nothing in there, that piece, that had any redemption to it.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would say. Just try to at least make it very
maybe
obvious.
he wanted to do that though.
I know they did.
Because the world has no remorse for what they're doing. So maybe he wanted it to look like he don't care about. He is no remorse for Jesus, his relationship with God, for Christ, because that's how he lived before we knew him. So maybe he wanted to give off that persona of like, this is what it is right now. This is how the world is living right now, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because they really are. Because this is like, because if you look at stuff online, it's crazy. People are really we're dealing with a lot of stuff like out here in these streets that people are dealing with. Yeah, so it's like I see why he said I want to go to the line, because it's like it's Super Bowl Sunday for the church. It's Easter. So it's like, yo, we got to go all out and we got to get these people.
So question, right? Do y'all think Jesus would, like, if he was here 2023, you think Jesus would adjust to the way that culture's attention is grabbed? Do you think he would adjust to it? I'd be like, you know what, I got, let me get on TikTok, let me get on this and start pushing, like, just as being real, like, you know, let me
pushing his parables.
You think he would? You know what I'm saying? Like
pushing P.
You think he would adjust to it? As soon as I thought about it, he said it. It's crazy.
I think he would, because that's what parables were, right? It was, I'm in a culture where they may not get what I'm saying, so I'm gonna do it in a way that they can relate to it. Right. That's the whole point of this, right? It's a relatable way for an audience that doesn't know Jesus. I'm trying to introduce them to Jesus. All I'm saying is they may not get to see this whole thing. The whole thing ain't even available, right?
Yeah.
So just in each piece, all I would say is make sure that if this is all they saw, you could still be as wild with the money, but at least at the end of it, try to make sure it's obvious that I'm not endorsing this, or this is not, you know what I mean?
But let me ask you a question real quick. So do you think the reason why it wasn't clear is because it was fictional names? Like, instead of calling that Helvia or something like that, call it straight hell? Like,
I don't even think people know the names of the things. The only reason I know that is because if you watch it from the very beginning, there's like this like epilogue, where it talks about the kingdoms and the princess represents us, and people are mad. I see in the chat, like, why did they have a woman on the cross? The woman didn't represent Jesus. No. She represented us on the cross. So if you saw the whole thing, I think most people wouldn't have as big of a problem as they do.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious at the end, Jesus is wrecking shop. Like, he's throwing all these people out. All the ladies talking about butts, throws them out. I mean, everything is very clear. The point is, this is all bad stuff, right? So I don't think there's a big deal. I'm just saying, doing things like this, if I was the leader, if I was Mike Todd, I would say, go to the line, but make sure it's very clear along the way what we're about.
But then again, people don't like Mike Todd. So this is like icing on the cake. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more people that don't like him. I mean, he does something, he preaches something every week and something else come out every week.
That's what I was saying. You can't build it off of trying to make everybody happy. Like, even if Jesus was here, like, Jesus didn't come to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
He didn't come for everybody. It's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do this, but for you got the choice. But I'm not doing this to make everybody happy. Pharisees hated him. Like, you know what I'm saying? People out here hate Mike Todd. People probably hate Trackstarz. You know what I'm saying? People, I know people hate Fresh Left Off. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I'm not doing it for, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's a good point. So
y'all got a diss track? God. We did too, I think.
We got a diss track for sure.
Oh, man.
So yeah, we've had people. So the only difference.
We have videos.
We've had people respond to us, and somebody wrote in a very nice letter saying, like, our line for line segment, they don't think we should do it because his kids don't even know the secular artist. So in his mind, we're introducing them to the secular artist. So my reaction could be, man, screw him, man. This is how we do it. But our actual reaction ended up being, man, we definitely understand. We added a disclaimer at the beginning. If you don't know these artists, we took the wisdom from it. Yeah. We realized we still got to do it because we believe in the segment. We know what it could do, right? Yeah. We know that people need to know that if you only know Jay-Z, there's another person you could listen to that's better for your soul, right? We know it's needed, but we are aware that there's other people that is not the target for it. They have valid concerns, right? So I would just say, just the heart posture is, do what you need to do. If God told you to do it. But there's wisdom in some of the counsel. I would just say, don't just completely ignore it.
No, I think the only problem that people get offended by is because it don't come off as godly wisdom. It comes off as like it don't come up to like, hey man, can y'all not do this? Because I don't think God be pleased with that. No. It always come out like, y'all going to hell, y'all doing this.
That's why you gotta spit out the bones. Take whatever meat.
But what you're saying is right. It's like it could be truth what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like, how do you navigate that truth with somebody coming at you versus somebody coming to you like, yo, hey man, y'all may not want to do that. That's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's important. I think he said it's important to make sure what you're doing and you get your wisdom behind it before doing so. Because you're gonna always have some. You're gonna always have some people that's not gonna get it and who're gonna have something to say about it, regardless of how well you do it, how much you get before the Lord. It doesn't matter. People are gonna have their conversations. So you gotta seek wisdom, of course. And I'm looking at the situation like, dang, does this even need a commentary about him so he can explain it? Because I don't think if he has to do that, then he's going to have to do that for a lot of his things.
Yeah.
So what if you run it through, what if you filter the production through the Holy Spirit, and it's just like, yo, for the calling that I have on your life, like, you one of the soldiers that I need to be pushing along at all times. You see what I'm saying? Just to get the generational mindset, like, how I look at it is unlearning church and relearning the kingdom side of things. See what I'm saying? So what if God has the assignment for him to be pushing the line the way he pushes it? Now, if that's the assignment, like, I gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only thing I'm cautioning, this is my worry. There's been a large movement of mixing God with the world where people are comfortable doing all kinds of crazy things. But then they still have this righteous anger towards stuff like this. But there's like this mixture of, I can be godly and I could still have sex before marriage. I could be godly and I could still wild out at the club. I could be godly and I could still have all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I would just say, be careful that we're not moving closer and closer to a world where everybody can call themselves a Christian, because there's no difference in lifestyle between somebody who's a Christian and somebody who's not a Christian. There still needs to be a distinction. And I'm not saying he's not doing that, but just from my experience, this is what leads to a life like that. where you have a private life that doesn't match your public persona.
Yeah.
So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Can I make an assumption? Let me ask a question. The way we use creativity tools like this to reach the world, does it depend on when you got saved? Right? Because I got saved at a very early age, and my experience with God was different than maybe somebody who's watching this that might have been in that lifestyle, and now they're seeing this and they're like, yeah, I got to turn away from this. Does it make a difference? Because I think about this. I was thinking about this a moment ago. We're no longer in the days of our grandmother's church, but that was my grandmother's church, kind of like when I got saved, like suits, traditional, hymns, things like that. So to me, this is always going to feel weird.
Yeah.
Because I never had that lifestyle. I never lived that lifestyle. So I'm always kind of like, I got to put myself in a position of people who might be coming out of this, right? And how would I approach and tell them or present that to them?
I would just be careful because your grandma's culture may have been radical for her time too. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think so.
I don't think it changed much.
So
I can't imagine.
It may have been though.
No,
I agree.
Yeah. So the whole thing about like gospel music and all that kind of stuff, that like a lot of people had problems with that back then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
You talking about the hymns?
I'm talking about just gospel music.
Oh, okay.
Popular gospel.
Yeah,
music.
because he said like the Hawkins.
I was like,
Like the Hawkins and people like that. Andre Crouch.
So what I mean is that at the time, that music wasn't, your church experience wasn't that different than the music that was on the radio. Like gospel was very, very popular. You saw we played the thing last time? Or is it? I don't know, it was one of these. Where gospel was the dominant music genre for a long time. So it wasn't like their life was very different when they were listening to music at home versus when they were in church. So there was a time when before her generation would have probably looked at her generation like, y'all are wilding out. Why y'all singing these songs in church?
Well, that's because they probably didn't have songs in church.
Or they didn't use drums.
My great grandmother's
using drums.
My grandmother's grandmother wouldn't have had like
it's not the Christian culture. There's a Christian culture that I think is also kind of wrong too, where it's like you're packaging up a style of acting in a building and saying that this is what church is. That's wrong too. But your point is really throwing me off because I understand what you're saying, that you grew up in that environment, but there's a core to what I'm talking about that it doesn't matter what it looks like. You can have on saggy jeans, you can have on a suit, you can have on whatever, and still have a wrong mindset about this. You know what I mean? Even in your church, there's people who have a wrong mindset where church is a performance, where hooting and hollering is a performance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where they're trying to pretend to be a celebrity in a sense. So that spirit can be in any form, fashion of this, right? Yeah. So it's not just how it looks that matters. It's the motivations is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.